Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to our presentation on the Academies Accounts Return. My name is Lainey Tempest and I work in the North Division of the school's Financial Support and Oversight Division. So I'm welcoming you to this afternoon. Can we have the next slide, please? So today's session is about Academies account returns and will be presented by Harvey Sanger, Amy Clark and Christelle Gooney. Before I hand over to the team, I just wanted to run through a few key points. This session is being recorded and we will be sharing this after the event. Please use the chat function to ask or upvote any questions that you've got. Please do keep the questions sort of relevant to today's session and not sort of related to specific cases where possible, and the team will endeavour to answer as many of the questions as possible within the time allocated at the end of the presentation. And finally, would really appreciate it if you could complete, there's a very short survey with three questions in. If you can complete the survey at the end of the session, and we'll put the link into the chat. It's just really important for us with the feedback. The only way we can grow this and be delivering relevant, valuable sessions to you is if we know what it is you want, what's worked well. So that would be really good if you could do that at the end. So I shall now hand you over to Harvey to begin the session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Could I please have the next slide? So today we will be covering what the accounts return is, why we collect the data it asks for, how the data is used, key dates for the accounts return 22-23, and a live demo of the online form, talking you through the different sections. Next slide, please. So what is the accounts return? The Academy Accounts Return is an online form, which is a data collection tool used by the DFE and ESFA. It's an online service that collects annual financial data from 2,500 Academy trusts. It's a mandatory return under Section 11 of the Academies Act 2010 and is completed by Academy Trust employees and their auditors. There are around 9,000 users that access this online form. If your trust has adopted the Academy's Chart of Accounts and has a financial management system that can automate your accounts return, then this can pre-populate a large proportion of your online form. The form requires an independent auditor sign-off as part of the submission to ESFA and must be completed by all Academy trusts that received funding for any part of the academic year they were open, even if they closed partway through the year. Next slide, please. So why do we collect the data? Academy Trust's annual financial statements are prepared in accordance with the Charity Statement of Recommended Practice, known as the Statement of Recommended Practice. The DFE reports its annual report and accounts under the Government Financial Reporting Manual Framework. Since the Academy Trust's financial statements are prepared under different reporting frameworks to the accounts returns needed for the Academy's sector annual report and accounts, there are some areas where the accounts return requires additional information or information that is more detailed compared to that required in the financial statements. Next slide, please. What does the data ask for? So the accounts return collects information on the following areas: statement of financial activities, balance sheet assets, land and buildings, balance sheet liabilities, balance sheet funds and other disclosures, benchmarking, and transfers and conversions. Next slide, please. How is the accounts return data used? As mentioned in the previous slide, the data collected supports the production of the Academy's sector annual report and accounts. However, in addition to this, the data collected allows the DFE and ESFA policy areas to monitor the financial health of the Academy sector. It also allows us to monitor areas such as executive pay and related party transactions. As well as that, the Academy sector data collected is used to underpin View My Financial Insights and the School Financial Benchmarking website, which are used by Academy trusts. Next slide, please. The collection period for the 22-23 accounts return is currently underway. The deadline is the 30th of January 2024, and we have upcoming MS Teams calls which you may be interested in attending. The sessions give an opportunity to ask questions and have any queries regarding the accounts return dealt with. You'll be able to find the dial-in details on our guidance page, which will be posted in the chat. Next slide, please. We will now show you a live demonstration of the accounts return online form. I will hand over to my colleague, Amy.
You're on mute. Do you want to come off mute?
Oh, the schoolgirl error. So this is the landing page of the accounts return. And the first section you need to go into is overview. So even if you're not intending to start the AR today, we'd really recommend that you go into this section if you haven't already, because this section contains the standing data. Now, if the standing data is incorrect, it can take a little bit of time for it to be fixed, and we do want to work to that deadline, so it's worth just going in there to make sure it's all correct. So the first section is external auditor details. If you've done the AR before, this will be pre-populated from last year, and if you haven't done the AR before, this will be blank. So you can see here we can edit the details if we want to. You can change the name, telephone number, email address. So if you're happy with those details, just click on save. And then once you're happy that they're all correct, tick this checkbox and mark as complete. The next section is Academy Trust, and this is standing data connected with the trust itself. So you just need to check these details here itself. If that's all correct, you can click yes. If it isn't, you can click no, and it will give you a link to an email template here. So if you click on that, you can see you get an email, and you can just put the details underneath of what needs correcting. Okay, so we'll just get rid of that one. If you carry on scrolling down this form, you can see some other information that's required. And once you're happy that that's all complete, you can just click yes. You can mark as complete even if the information is incorrect, but you can't submit the AR until that information is correct on the form. Okay. Next, we move to Academy information. So this is the information about academies within the trust. You can see the standing data is pre-populated, so that needs to be checked to make sure it's all correct. And there's just a couple of questions to answer here about teaching school hubs and also the transfer status. So if there's any academies closed, transferred in or out, or if they've just been a member for the whole period. So you can see here we've got various status. Some of these options will generate a further question. For example, in period transfer in generates a question about the balance. It's making sure that they match. Okay, so if you just scroll through the information, making sure it's all correct, and once you're happy, you can click yes. If you're not happy, it's the same process. It would bring you up this email address. You can contact us and let us know what needs correcting. So mark that as complete. And then the next section is the questionnaire. This table just determines what information is in the AR for you to populate. So it's worth saying if you do get to a section that you think you should be populating and the table itself is greyed out, it could be that the response to this question has just been marked incorrectly. So it's worth just giving these another look. So once you've gone through all of these, let's go to the bottom, mark as complete. Those first 4 sections of the overview need to be completed before you can move on any further with the AR. So as I say, even if that information is incorrect, you can move on, but it's best for all the standing data to be completed before you actually complete anything else. Okay, the sections we're going to focus on for this part of the demo are the sections that are slightly different from the financial statements, that the differences that Harvey mentioned earlier. So in the SOFA, we've got a section on capital and revenue grants, and we do ask for more detailed information here because we want detail as all trust regardless of size. So you can see here we've got sections on capital grants, all this information to fill in here, and then that would also be split into DFE and ESFA, DFE group and other. This is just to demonstrate how this section's greyed out, so you can't actually put anything. I said this table's greyed out, so you can't actually put anything in there. That's because we've selected in the questionnaire that we didn't have any revenue grants from the DFE group. So if you came to that and you thought, actually, I have got some data to go in that table, you just need to go back and amend that question. Okay. The next section we'd look at would be land and buildings. And if we click into this table, you can see that the academies are listed on a dashboard. This dashboard, you can change the order using the headings. So you can use any of the headers here to change the order of those if you've got the information in front of you and you want to enter it in a particular order. All you need to do there is click into each section. The method of recognising land and buildings in the SARA is different from the local accounts. We break it down into freehold, leasehold land and buildings, assets under construction and leasehold improvements. So we do require a bit more detail there, and then it's split into cost, depreciation and impairment. Okay. And then going back. Now the next section, transfers and conversions. And we've got the tables here again, the Academies dashboard. So you can see in the Academy information, we had the schools listed that we're transferring in and out, and they'll be listed here if they've got any information to be entered in them. So if you just enter there, you can see the data that's been required in that table. Okay, and then you've got your totals, which will be populated once these tables have been completed. Right. And then the next section is benchmarking. And for single academy trusts, this is mostly pre-populated. For multi-academy trusts, it does require a lot of data. Harvey mentioned earlier about automation. If you do adopt the chart of accounts and can use the automation, then it makes it so much quicker because it can all be taken from your FMS. So that's just something that's worth mentioning if you're finding that there's a lot of information to go in here. This is split into different tables. So you've got the central services here. And this is the central funding that the trust has. There are some boxes here that are greyed out, and that's because even though you might consider this funding to be for the trust, it should be allocated to individual schools. So even though you might have a central figure, we do want to know what's allocated to each school individually. Okay, now you've got those in income, expenditure and closing balance. And then you've got the individual academies themselves. So this table opens at what we've seen before, the individual schools here, and you can see how much information there is required in there for each school. Okay. Well, once you've populated the AR, so we've just gone through those sections there, you can come to the summary. Now these summaries at the bottom will be automatically populated by the data. These tables will be automatically populated by the data you've put at the top here. And you've got a section here for validation triggers, and this is where the form is recognising that either extra information is needed or something needs to be corrected. And there's two types of validation trigger. There's a soft validation, which is when you just need to add some information as an explanation as to why a figure might be outside a predetermined range or a threshold. And there's a hard validation, which could be that the data needs to be amended, or that there needs to be a tick box checked just to make sure that the data you are provided is correct. Now, if you click into the validations, you can see this is a soft validation, and what it's saying is the data that we've put in there is actually outside the range it would recognise here. So we need to put an explanation as to why. And there's links to what's causing the issue. So if we follow this link, we can follow here, you can see there's the validation trigger there. And then it's saying we need to provide a reason for each adjustment and their value. So we need to provide a full explanation in here. The more information, the better. And the more information you can provide, the less chance there is that we will need to contact you afterwards to ask for more information. So in this case, we'll just say SARA team asked to adjust opening balance. Okay, and then you go to the bottom. Once you've updated a validation error, you do need to mark it as complete, otherwise the system won't recognise that it's changed. So if you do change it and then you wonder why the trigger's not gone away, it could be because of that. Okay, and then you've got your hard validation errors. So if we ask for more detail about this one, it's telling us that these figures must total 0, and we can see here that they're actually totaling minus, or they're actually totaling -5. So what we need to do is go through and just correct that. So we'd check that that was correct, and we might go back to this one and say, oh, that should be -50. And you can see that takes that trigger away. And then the final validation trigger, we can see here it's greater. The figure that we've entered is greater than what the form would expect. If the value is correct, we need to tick the box. So again, we can go here, have a look at the value. It is correct, so we tick the box. We mark as complete, and that clears that validation trigger off. Once all the validation triggers have been cleared, then you're ready to move to approval and submission. Because the form does need to be populated before you do this, I've actually put these on PowerPoint slides. Here you go. So first of all, you'd have your preparer declaration here. You only need to prepare a declaration if the preparer and the approver are different people. So if you're doing both jobs, there is a question in the questionnaire that asks you if you want to prepare a declaration. You can just tick no, and this section will be greyed out. If the person preparing is different to approving, you'll need to do this, and they just put their information in there, tick the box, mark as complete, and then you've got your approver declaration. So once that's been done and you're happy with the details, just put your information in there, and then it goes to your external auditor, and they can do what they need to do and submit it on your behalf. If you do submit it to the auditor and then find that you need to amend anything, you can always revoke the submission up until they submit it, and then you'd need to contact us after that. And the only other thing we'd mention is obviously to build into your timescales, time for you to complete and approve the AR, but also time for your auditors to do the same. So just, don't go too close to the deadline without thinking that they will need some time as well. Okay, and then it's just submission and completion. And that's the end of the live demo. Okay.
Super, thank you for that. We're handing over to Christelle now, who's going to handle any questions. We haven't had many come through yet, so has anyone got any burning questions that they would like to ask the team? We have the team of experts here, so if we do have anything, it would be great if you wanted to pop anything in the chat, we can make sure it's answered for you. Any questions? I'm presuming by no questions that means that everything made absolute sense and there's no clarification needed. We'll just give it a few more moments in case anyone's having any further reflections at all. But if so, it just shows what a comprehensive presentation it was. Yeah, I think, Crystal, you were going to talk about the process of actually adding an auditor, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So even though the form's been live for a few months now, I'm sure there might be a few people on the call who have not assigned an external auditor yet. I will talk through the process of how to do that for those of you. I'm sure whether you remember, I can't remember whether you remember what Amy presented on the external auditor detail page, and that is how you give access to the form to your auditor. It's very important that as you fill that, you also speak to them and check that they do have a valid account, especially if they are new to the area. So something that we've noticed in the past is that trusts have unintentionally included the auditors in their items account. So go through items and set them up as internal approver or internal preparer. If anyone on this call has done that, please go back to items and then remove that user from your trust. And you want to ask them to go back onto items themselves and set themselves up as an external user. So there's a specific UPIN for auditors that we expect them to use, and the UPIN is 0000001. It's 50 and a 1. So once they've done that, it should automatically link them onto the form. But if that fails, and if for any reason you've done the right thing, as in you've completed the external auditor detail page, and they've set themselves up with an external user account and they still don't have access, at that point they should contact the ESFA inquiry form. I will put a link in to the chat now for it.
Super, thanks, Christelle. And there's some questions come into the chat now for you to work through. So there's a few in there.
Okay, let me have a look, Lainey. Okay, I will take the first one. Are there any ways to speed up entry AG upload from a spreadsheet? Unfortunately, we don't support uploading via a spreadsheet. I believe that used to be the case many years ago, but with the size of the academic sector, it's much cleaner to facilitate that through uploading your data through your FMS instead. So we do have the automation facility to let you do that, just to improve, to make data entry easier. I see that my colleague Nikki is typing an answer to that, so she'll provide you more explanation on the automation facility. All right, okay. The next question I'm picking is from Trish. We started completing the AR, but our auditors have informed us that they will be completing the return on our behalf. Would they be able to edit section we have marked as complete if necessary? Yes, they will be able to. So there are two roles for auditors in the AR. One is as external preparer. That role can edit pretty much anything in the AR. There are a couple of tables that they won't be able to, but that is done for on purpose. So they will be able to go in and make changes as they see fit. They also will be able to complete the preparer declaration, but that's as far as they will be able to go, because as far as we're concerned, the trust is still responsible for the data. So when it comes to approving the form, we expect that to be someone at the trust. Okay, hopefully that's clear. Okay, I'm picking the next one that it's saying, I'm using the Excel worksheet to compile my figure, but notice that some of the hard error have the wrong cell reference. Is there an updated version? Okay, I'm sorry you don't seem to have the best experience with the Excel workbook. If you could, my colleague Harvey is replying, but if you could send us an email at academies.financialreporting.gov.uk, we will look into the specific issue you're finding and look to update the workbook from there. Thank you. Moving on to the next one. If you are a MAC that use gap pooling, will the ESFA grant figure enter against school reflect the figure on their GAC statement or the amount allocated to them by the trust? That is a very good point. I love that that's been raised here. And it's probably something we could have covered as well earlier. Yes, if you use gap pooling, the figure that you include in the benchmarking section is what was initially allocated to the school. So we really want to see how we want to see the original allocation in the benchmarking section, please.
There's one last question come through, Christelle.
Sure, let me have a look. Okay, I have, I might need Nikki's help here.
Yeah.
I have, do you want to pick that, Nikki?
Yeah, so yeah, I have an FMS system with the capacity to upload. However, when I enter IDAM's login details, it says they are invalid. So what you just needed to check, have you set up a data transfer approver role? Because that's what you need. So your super user, your IDAM super user, will just need to set somebody up in the trust as a data transfer approver role. Does anybody have the IDAMS link to hand? It's just you can do it through that, or you can do it. The super user will just be able to do it within their logon.
Super, thank you. We'll make sure we get that link popped in the chat.
If you have any further questions, if I just I'll put our direct email in the chat, and then you can contact us directly.
Is that the financial reporting one, Nikki?
It's the chart of accounts,
Right.
automation one.
Right, okay, I'll get that one popped in then. There's one more question coming across, Christelle. We're just publishing it now.
All right, let's have a read through. Okay, I think the sensitivity analysis of mortality assumption for Barnett Waddingham on the markup on the markup accounting valuation is incorrect. It is the opposite way around to last year and seemed to give the wrong result. If mortality increases, you should expect the defined benefit obligation liability to go down. Okay, that's something that the team can pick up. Do you mind leaving us a way to contact you? I'm not, actually, maybe that might not be needed. The team will look into that, and if there is a need to update that guidance, we will do so. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, thank you. So I think that's all the questions that I can see. So there's no more questions. If there are any in the last moment, that's fine. So if we could go on to the next slide, please. Just the final one. Please, could you fill in our survey? There's a scan thing on the slide, or there's the link in the chat. So, please do that, and then we can really make sure that we target things next year and get these even better for you next year. But thank you for your support in 2023. We've had a blast. The team behind the scenes, it's, we really enjoy doing these, and we, hopefully we're really adding value, and these are valuable use of your time. So really hope that we're doing this right, and you're getting what you need out of it. But please let us know in the survey if we're not, or what else we can do to make them even better. So the next power hour is January, 25th of January, 3 till 4, as you can see on the slide there. And it's around building SRM capability. So please join us for that one. In the meantime, thank you very much. Have a wonderful break over the Christmas period. And we look forward to seeing you and working with you more in 2024. Thank you.